Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Shamans are not spiritual at all. Castaneda is speaking to Don Juan. They are very practical beings. It is well known fact, however, that shamans generally regarded as eccentric or even insane. Perhaps that it is what makes you think that they are spiritual. They seem insane because they are always trying to explain things that cannot be explained. In the course of such futile attempts to give a complete explanation that cannot be completed under any circumstances, they lose all coherence and say inanities. You need a pliable body if you want physical prowess, a level headedness, he went on. These are the two most important issues in the lives of shamans because they bring forth sobriety, pragmatism, the only indispensable requisites for entering into the other realms of perception. So, to navigate in a genuine way in the unknown necessitates an attitude of daring, but not one of recklessness. So, in order to establish a balance between audacity and recklessness, a sorcerer has to be extremely sober, cautious, skillful, and in superb physical condition. Castaneda asks, why in superb physical condition, Don Juan? Isn't the desire or the will to journey into the unknown enough? Not in your pissy life, Don Juan replies, rather brusquely. Just to conceive facing the unknown, much less enter into it, requires guts of steel and a body that would be capable of holding those guts. What would be the point of being a gutsy if you didn't have mental alertness, physical prowess, and adequate muscle? So, the superb physical condition that Don Juan had steadily advocated from the first day of our association was the product of the rigorous execution of the magical passes. And this was it, by all indications, the first step toward the deployment of our inherent energy. The redeployment of energy was, in Don Juan's view, the most crucial issue in the lives of shamans, as well as in the life of any individual. Redeployment of energy is process, which consists of transporting from one place to another energy which already exists within us. This energy has been displaced from centers of vitality in the body. It requires that displacement energy in order to bring forth a balance between mental alertness and physical prowess. The shamans of Don Juan's lineage were deeply engaged with the redeployment of their inherent energy. This involvement wasn't an intellectual endeavor, nor was it the product of induction or deduction or logical conclusion. It was the result of their ability to perceive energy as it flowed in the universe. So, for those sorcerers that called this ability to perceive energy as it flowed in the universe seeing, Don Juan explained, they described seeing as a state of a heightened awareness in which the human body is capable of perceiving energy as a flow, a current, a wind like vibration. To see energy as it flows in the universe is the product of momentary halt of the system, of interpretation proper to human beings. What is this system of interpretation, Don Juan? The shamans of ancient Mexico found out, he replied, that every part of the human body is engaged in one way or another in turning this vibratory flow, this current of vibration, into some form of sensory input. The sum total of this bombardment of sensory input is then through usage, turned into the system of interpretation that makes human beings capable of perceiving the world the way they do. So, to make this system of interpretation come to a halt, he went on, was the result of tremendous discipline on the part of the sorcerers of the ancient Mexico. They called this halt seeing and made it the cornerstone of their knowledge. So to see energy as it flows in the universe was, for them, an essential tool that they employed in making their classificatory schemes. Because of this capacity, for instance, they conceived the total universe available to the perception of human beings as an onion-like affair, all the layers, consisting of thousands of layers. The daily world of human beings, they believed, is but one such layer. So consequently, they also believe that other layers are not only accessible to human perception, but are a part of man's natural heritage. Another issue of tremendous value in the knowledge of those sorcerers, an issue which was also a consequence of their capacity to see energy as it flowed in the universe, was the discovery of human energetic configuration. This energetic configuration was, for them, a conglomerate of energy fields agglutinated together by vibratory force that bound those energy fields into a luminous ball of pure energy. For the sorcerers of Don Juan's lineage, a human being has an oblong shape like an egg or a roundish shape like a ball. Thus they called them luminous eggs or luminous balls. This sphere of luminosity was considered by them to be our true self, true in the sense that it is irreducible in terms of energy. It is irreducible because the totality of human resources are engaged in the act of perceiving it directly as energy. Those shamans discovered that on the back face of this luminous ball there is a point of greater brilliance. They figured out, through processes of observing energy directly, that this point is key in the act of turning energy into sensory data and then interpreting it. For this reason, they called it the assemblage point. Little French bit there. And deemed that perception is indeed assembled there. They describe the assemblage point as being located behind the shoulder blade, an arm's length away from them. They also found out that the assemblage point was the entire human race, is located on the same same spot, thus giving every human being an entirely similar view of the world. A finding of tremendous value for them and for shamans of succeeding generations was that the location of the assemblage point and that spot is the result of usage and socialization. For this reason, they considered it to be an arbitrary position which gives merely the illusion of being final and irreducible. A product of this illusion is the seemingly unshakable conviction of human beings that the world they deal with daily is the only world that exists, and that its finality is undeniable. Believe me, Don Juan said once, this sense of finality about the world is a mere illusion. Due to the fact that it has never been challenged, it stands as the only possible view. To see energy as it flows in the universe is the tool for challenging it. Through the use of this tool, the sorcerers of my lineage arrived at the conclusion that there are indeed a staggering number of worlds available to man's perception. They described those worlds as being all-inclusive realms, realms where one can act and struggle. In other words, they are worlds where one can live and die, as in this world of everyday life. During the 13 years of my association with the Don Juan, Castaneda says, he taught him the basic steps towards accomplishing this feat of seeing. I've discussed those steps in all of my previous writings, but never have I touched on the key point in this process, the magical passes. He taught me a great number of them, but along with that wealth of knowledge, Don Juan also left me with a certainty that I was the last link of this lineage. Accepting that I was the last link of his lineage implied automatically for me the task of finding new ways to disseminate the knowledge of his lineage, since its continuity was no longer an issue. However, it should be. I need to clarify a very important point in this regard. Don Juan Matius was not ever interested in teaching his knowledge. He was interested in perpetuating his lineage. His 3 other disciples and I were the means chosen, he said, by the Spirit itself, for he had no active part in it that were going to ensure that perpetuation. Therefore, he engaged himself in a titanic effort to teach me all he knew about sorcery, shamanism, shall we say, and about the development of his lineage. In the course of his training, Castaneda said, he realized that many energetic configurations were, according to him, so vastly different from his own that it couldn't mean anything else but the end of his line. I told him I resented enormously his interpretation of whatever invisible difference existed between us. I didn't like the burden being the last of his line, nor did I understand his reasoning. Don Juan says, the shamans of ancient Mexico, he said to me once, believe that choice as a human understanding is the precognition of the cognitive world of man, but that it is only benevolent interpretation of something which is found when awareness ventures beyond the cushion of our world. Benevolent interpretation of acquiescence. Human beings are in the throes of forces that pull them every which way. The art of sorcery is not really to choose, but to be subtle enough to acquiesce. However, sorcerers, although they may seem to make nothing else but decisions, make no decisions at all, he went on. I didn't decide to choose you, and I didn't decide that you would be the way you are, since I couldn't choose to whom I would impart my knowledge. I had to accept whomever the Spirit was offering me, and that person was you, and you are energetically capable only of ending, not continuing. He maintained that the ending of his line had nothing to do with him or his efforts, or with his success or failures, or a sorcerer seeking total freedom. He understood it as something that had to do with a choice exercised beyond the human level, not by beings or entities, but by the impersonal forces of the universe. And with that, I thank you.